You are listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, presented by TeamBoydTV.
A contract is a piece of paper, and I will always be a Carolina Panther. And I love this community, and this community loves me, and that's why, whether I play or not play, I plan to grow old with my wife in the Charlotte community, and I plan on being buried in the Charlotte community. So I never experienced the free agency, so I'm going to go ahead and go to some expensive restaurants or some nice, good steaks and see what people have to say. I want to make sure that whatever team I go to, wherever it happens to be, they're going to get the best in-shape 35-year-old guy that they could possibly get. And if that happens to run through Bank of America Stadium, put your goggles on, because it's going to be blood and guts everywhere.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Big Q. This is the Black and Blue Podcast presented by TeamBoydTV. And they did it, man. They actually did it. They released Agent 89, man, beloved Carolina Panthers player, wide receiver, Charlotte community activist. Whew. I mean, it's been a lot for us to take in over the last couple of days, man. We knew this was looming. It was one of them things that we kind of all saw coming, but didn't really, I think a lot of us really just believed that it wouldn't. I know I was like, they especially when they didn't do it the first day. When they didn't do it on the first day, I was like, okay, this might be, they might be coming today. So I don't know. It's just, wow. I'm still kind of in shock. I'm still, in a state of disbelief. This is rough, man. I was just thinking about it, and I was thinking this was the Carolina Panthers franchise. This is their one chance to actually create their own legendary player. Most teams got these legendary figures that you think of, Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, San Francisco 49ers, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. They got a few, Green Bay Packers, Brett Favre, Reggie White, all this stuff, and the list goes on and on. And there is, I guess you can say Sam Mills, but see, I'm thinking Sam Mills wasn't originally a Panther. Steve Smith was drafted by Carolina, played 13 seasons with the team, was never, ever, out there having to test the free agent market. This got to be a little bit, frustrating and got him frazzled a little bit. But, it seems like he is in pretty good spirits. Listen to that little clip from that Pro Football Talk interview that he did. Blood and guts, man. And somebody had left a comment. I think it was Louis T, as a matter of fact, because I want to get some shouts out here in a few minutes. But I think, you left a comment saying how, he's giving us our condolences, for giving us his condolences for, what happened with Steve Smith. And, and I said, in the comment that when I replied, I was like, I hope he does, land on his feet. I really do. If he still feel like he can play, I think that he should, find a team that believes that he can play and that he can still go. And I hope that whatever team he lands on, that, they get a chance to come to Bank of America Stadium. And, as much as I would hate to see the Panthers lose any game, I would love to see Steve Smith show back up here in Charlotte with whoever, as long as it's not somebody like the Saints or the Bucks or Lord forbid the Atlanta Falcons. But any teams born those three, show back up here and and have a ridiculous day, catch 4 touchdown passes, rack up about 250 yards receiving. I would actually applaud that, and I think that the people at the stadium that day would do the same thing. I can only imagine what the scene would be like. Let's say, because everybody's talking about Baltimore Ravens or whatever, and I think for a slot guy, he kind of short. I think Baltimore is actually a perfect fit if they can find a way to bring him in. But imagine this, though. The Baltimore Ravens come to town. The stadium is full of, 89 Steve Smith jerseys. the reception that this dude would get when he came out of that tunnel, and then he goes on to have a record day. I don't think anybody in that stadium, even though we are all Carolina Panthers fans, I don't think anybody would actually be upset about that. I just don't. I mean, I'm imagining it in my mind. I don't think that we would be like, oh God, Steve Smith left and came back and torched us. And I don't think it'll be like that. I think it'll be just pure joy to see the guy back in Charlotte. Even if it's just for one time, and him having a day like that it would be amazing. You know what I mean? It would be absolutely amazing. So listen, I know the last couple of days have been rough for us. We've been sad. We have talked about the story to death. And I feel like a weight has been kind of lifted because, I've been kind of stressing out about this thing for the last, 48 hours or so. It's been one of them things where I was just kind of going crazy. I really did not want to see the guy leave. But, it is what it is. It's time to move forward. And like I said, I hope and pray that, that Mr. Smith Sr. lands on his feet and lands with a team that can actually see this guy's credibility, his worth, and his value as a player and as a leader in the locker room. Happy trails, and and I wish Steve Smith the best on all his future endeavors, man. And he's always going to be a Panther. Now, before we get completely off track, because I didn't even get to do none of my intro stuff. I'm your boy Big Q from TeamBoydTV. I want to give a shout out to a couple people. I want to give a shout out again to my main man, the Passion High Five for the intro track. The intro track is crazy. I want to give a shout out to the people who, because I did the first Black and Blue podcast last week, and basically it did really well. Like, you guys seem to really enjoy it a lot. It made me feel good because it was something that I was trying for the first time, and the response that I got has been pretty good. And I want to thank you guys. A couple people in particular. Glass from Get With It Sports. That's my main man. It's my right hand dude. Read some comments that he left. I was checking them out last night. And I appreciate the stuff that he was saying. Louis T is another one, man. Always been a supporter of the TeamBoydTV project. And I'm a big supporter of his too. And so listen to the things that he was saying in the comments. Made me feel good. Made me feel like, the things that I'm doing, is worth it. You know what I mean? And that kind of thing. I want to give a shout out to my boys from Carolina Cat Chronicles, man. Anthony Dunn and Joey Riolano, man. Those dudes had me on their show a couple of days ago, and it was actually a lot of fun, hanging out with these Panthers fans. It's always a blast, So those are the things that I wanted to kind of get out of the way. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for, the support that I got for the first podcast that I did. So, made me feel good about it. So I was like, yo, we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it moving. So the first thing, of course, the Steve Smith release is official. We finally are sinking that reality into our brains, and we all feeling the effects of that. But we can't sit here and mourn forever. It's time to move on. Because Steve Smith has, right? And we can all should mirror his attitude and his the way he's feeling about the situation. I got a quote that I grabbed off NFL.com. I'm gonna read it to you. This is what Steve Smith said. He said, he says, "It doesn't change my respect and relationship with the Panthers organization as far as Mr. and Mrs. Richardson and the family. They've done great things for me as a man and professionally. You can't allow an individual or individuals to change how much a corporation or organization has treated me. I won't allow that to happen." And I respect that. You know what I mean? Because he ain't got no ill will toward the owners of the team. I don't know. See, I'm saying stuff like that. I don't know if I would have that same type of attitude, but this is what people say. What they mean when they talk about Steve Smith. This kind of humility is just awesome, man. You can't really. I mean, any other player would have been flipping out, went to Twitter and on TV and on the radio, saying all kind of crazy stuff about the organization. But this guy took the high road. Always classy, Steve Smith. So it's cool. I hope, like I said, I hope everything work out for him, and give him my best. So the the bad part about this whole, and I've always been a firm hater. I don't like free agency. I've never been a fan of it. I just never liked it. And I understand its purpose, and I understand why it's in place. it gives the teams a chance to build little teams and prepare for the next season, and it gives players the opportunity to go and pursue the money and stuff that they want to pursue in their career. And at the end of the day, we hear this all the time. But the NFL is a business. I mean, it's a professional situation, and they do it to make money. And as fans, we kind of forget that because we're fans, and we love the sport, and and we love our teams, and we love the players, and so we kind of forget that this is big business. You know what I mean? Like, and so stuff like this has to happen. I just never ever been a fan of it. So in the last podcast we talked about the list of free agents that we had that was really, really long. Turns out we ended up losing a bunch of people, which I kind of saw happening. I knew it was going to happen. It's crazy stuff, though. Like, we'll start with Ted Ginn Jr., man. Like, Ted Ginn Jr. came to the team last year. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was last year. Came to the team last year, and arguably, I don't know, from everything I've seen, I think that last season was the dude's best season ever. In his 7 years as a pro, I don't think he had a better season than he had last season with the Carolina Panthers. And so, I mean, first I was like, when I first heard the news that, he was going to Arizona, and they gave him like a 3-year deal. It was worth, about 14.7, five of it guaranteed. At first I was mad. I was like, Teddy, how you gonna do that to us, right? Your career was basically over and dead in San Francisco, and we gave you a shot to do what you needed to do, and basically made your name relevant again. People are talking about Teddy again now. They weren't talking about Teddy again before he came to Carolina, but now they're talking about Teddy again, and this is what you do. But then again, I stepped back, and I said, you know what? He came to Carolina because basically he got lucky enough for somebody to believe in him and give him another chance. He did the right thing by performing at the highest level that he possibly could, which, it ain't as good as a lot of other wide receivers in the league and other return guys, Trent Holidays and all these guys. But he parlayed that into the deal that he was looking for. Not bad. I'm just saying, like, I can't be mad at that. It's going to be sad to see him go, because that's, he was, I don't know, he was a big part of the offense. He was. And special teams. So he was always a threat that way too. Sad to see him go. Now they're going to have him and Patrick Peterson in their return game. Arizona, they already had, then they're going to have him on the other side of Larry Fitzgerald. It's a good fit. And I can't be completely upset with it. Bruce Arians, that was a good move. You go ahead and grab him. He out there. You might as well take him. And it ain't really hurting you that bad. So I'm not even really tripping about it that much no more, but I was very upset at first. Mike Mitchell is another one, man. He agreed to terms for a 5-year, $25 million deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like Mike Mitchell, I liked him, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it is what it is. He's another one that I knew that as soon as somebody threw some money at him, he was gonna go. And that's one of the things about free agency that that I didn't like. It just pretty much, there's really not a whole lot of whole lot of loyalty from players to their teams, and and again, it goes back to this is what they do professionally. This is what they do for a living, and you have to go where the money is. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? Then you had Dominic Hickson agreed to terms with the Chicago Bears. Now he's another one like Teddy Ginn, and honestly, I don't even, and we said this in the last podcast, Dominic Hickson didn't really show me a lot last season anyway. You know what I mean? But so this one don't really hurt me that bad. It was kind of cool to have him, but whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it's just upsetting to me that, he came to Carolina just to kind of, enjoy that little run that we were on last season, and then use that to get him a deal in Chicago, and that kind of thing. So, whatever. It is what it is. So later Dominic Hickson, hopefully, whoever replaces him will probably get a little bit more burn, a little bit more reps than Dominic Hickson got, because he didn't really get that many. Anyway, Captain Munnerlyn. Now, Captain Munnerlyn is another one of them dudes that I had the pleasure of meeting, because Captain Munnerlyn, if people don't really know, Captain Munnerlyn kind of moonlights as a party promoter here in Charlotte. The dude likes to show up at all the clubs and have these little events and stuff. So I sort of bumped into Captain Munlin a couple times in in my journeys and through the Charlotte nightlife. And he's a cool dude. Cool dude, like to have fun and stuff. I kind of liked him being on the team and stuff. But he agreed to terms on a 3-year, $14.25 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings. That's a tough one because we lost 2 wide receivers, 2 of our, I guess I don't know if Hickson wasn't considered a starter, but but we lost Gannon, Hickson, and then now Munnerlin on the defensive side of the ball, and Mike Mitchell on the defensive side of the ball. This is rough, man. Like it's looking so bad for us right now. I'm telling you, it looked like, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it looked like ain't nothing really happening to make the situation. Okay, I got some. What's this? Somebody tweeting me? I don't know. Email. But yeah, got all our players are leaving. Haven't really seen anything to make the situation better by something to happen where they sign one of these free agents and make us be like, yeah, it's cool, everything gonna be okay. It's really not looking like that right now at all. You know what I mean? And then as far as the reports go for the first couple days of free agency, you got Jordan Sin, linebacker. He agreed to terms with Chicago Bears, so him and Hickson packing it up, taking it to Chicago. So we lost five players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players so far to free agency. So I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody though. It was again, what happened to he's not on my list. I thought another one of the wide receivers signed with somebody else too. I can't remember who it was. I had to find that because I thought when I was putting these notes together, I thought I had them all. But LaFell, yeah, because they're thinking about trying to resign LaFell. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So, and that brings me to the wide receiver core as it stands, right? Polaris and 2 other guys. It looked like Carolina's going to be looking to bring some rookie wideouts in, and maybe, and I don't know, I haven't really had a chance to really dig into the draft class this year. I've just been listening to what a lot of other people have been saying, saying, the wide receiver class is really deep this year and this, that, and the third. I don't know. I mean, a lot of times I don't really like to just go on stuff that I hear, like, yeah, it's a bunch of wide receivers in the draft class, man, we're going to be good. I don't know. I got to check it out. But that's what it looked like Carolina is trying to do. They're going to look toward the draft now. I don't know how they planning on filling all these gaping holes that they got in the in the team as it stands, because lost 5 players, but then I guess we got some people to re-sign, all those offensive linemen. A couple of those, the other 3 linebackers that were free agents, that kind of thing. So, it's still some hope. You know what I'm saying? It's still some hope. And but I don't know. It's just having such a young team, and we've seen what happened with really young teams like the Arizonas and the Miami Dolphins, and I'm trying to think of who else. The Cleveland Browns is one that kind of stick out in my mind a lot. It's a really young team. The only time I've seen like a young team really just burst out and just make a huge impact was like the Seattle Seahawks. But it took them 3 years to build that squad. And I'm saying I don't think we as Panthers fans, especially after what we saw last season, want to wait 3 years to get back to the point where we were last season. And so that's why a lot of us got a little bad taste in our mouths because of this whole free agency situation this season. And, historically, though, Carolina ain't never really been like acquiring no crazy names and stuff during free agency. I just ain't never really seen it happen. Like stuff coming to mind, like Tolbert and Davis and people like that, but nothing crazy, nothing like a big, huge deal. Like the stuff they're doing in Denver and New England, they are kind of just stacking it up, ready to do it. Those 2 teams, they ready to do battle with one another, man. They look like they are just like loading up and saying, hey, when the season starts, we are going to take it to one another. And I'm saying, when I see stuff like that, that makes me excited. You know what I mean? When I see what the teams in the NFC South are doing, I'm like, wow, we are really not prepared at all. So I don't know. I think it's a tough road ahead for Ron Rivera and his coaching staff. Going to be a lot of pressure on Cam Newton because, he's going to find himself in a situation like Tom Brady was in last season. at least the running back core, it seems to be stable. We still that seems to be stable at least for another year or so. But the thing is, people were complaining that Carolina wasn't running the ball, as effectively as they wanted them to, like we did when John Fox was around. But it is what it is. I don't know. I'm not. I know. I felt really, really, really bad about the situation on the last podcast. I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the situation. Maybe the draft will produce, because you know what, it ain't about them first rounders that much no more. You know what I mean? Because I think back, Smitty was a third rounder. You know what I mean? And so like it's been a lot. Like I look at Russell Wilson, he wasn't a first rounder. So really, the people whose names keep popping up, Sammy Watkins and the little dude from Clemson, Clowney and then the quarterbacks, these names keep popping up. But you know what though? It ain't really about them. The main whether the jewels are in that third, fourth, fifth round, you might be able to find something really nice. I take a note from Pete Carroll. He knew how to find some studs deep in that draft, man. And I'm hoping that Rivera and his boys and Gettleman, because Louis T was defending Gettleman, and I mean whatever. I don't have a say in it. I'm not an NFL GM, so I don't have to be pressured with that type of decision making. So I'm just a fan. So I just hope that that it does work out, and whatever they produce and have ready for the NFL season, that is something that we as Panthers fans can get behind and cheer for, because right now we are not really feeling cheerful. You know what I mean? And then there's no at least not up to this point, no signings just yet. So I mean, we'll see what happens going into the weekend. Maybe just get us one person, give us something to give us some hope, man. Because it really, maybe they don't really care about what we say. They probably don't. Not a whole lot, but there's been a lot of talk. And I mean, I've seen stuff on YouTube, man, which I thought was crazy. One of my homies, man, Cali Blue, on YouTube, denouncing his Carolina Panthers fanhood or whatever. That's a little extreme, but it is what it is. I mean, I was upset too, bro. I was, but I'm not gonna get on YouTube and be like, yo, I'm not, I ain't even riding with the Panthers no more. I've been a fan of this team since the inception, since they, thought about bringing a team to Charlotte. I've been on board. You know what I mean? So, I'm too invested. I ain't going nowhere. I mean, I done been through a couple 2-14 seasons. I done been through the bad. I was around when they made it to the Super Bowl. I'm a ride with my team, man. I don't think 2014 is going to be our defining, shining moment. But hey, us as Panthers fans will still be here. We'll still be cheering, and we'll see what happens now, because I'm more concerned about what's going to happen at the end of this season than I am of the events that have unfolded so far at the end of the 2013 season, because this Cam Newton stuff getting ready to come up. And you think the Steve Smith stuff made some news? Woo, they don't have a deal ready for Cam before the close of this 2014 campaign. Oh, the media is going to destroy this. They're going to eat this up. They're going to love this story, because it's going to be big, So that's that. And then I didn't really have a whole lot. I didn't really want to go into a whole lot of stuff today. I just wanted to kind of go on and just pretty much, put a cap and a cork on the Steve Smith stuff, and just let everybody know that it is not as bad as it looks. And Steve is okay. This dude been playing football for 13 years. I ain't worried about him. He seemed like he been doing pretty good with his money. He's gonna be absolutely fine. He also said that you heard it in the video clip. He will be around. You know what I'm saying? Like the dude dying and that. And I think I remember I saw a tweet or a quote from him earlier in the week where he was like, dudes coming out with T-shirts and stuff like he in jail or something. He was like, dude, I'm not in jail, man. I'm cool. And I mean, and I understand, he understands that how much we care about him. But at the same time, though, man, he got to do what he got to do for him and his family. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is what it is. We need to, as a fan base, we have to stay strong and stay together with our team while they're going through stuff like this, man. And I understand, there's been some questionable things done this offseason, but you know what? We going to have to let the professionals do what they do, and we do our part by supporting them. And on that note, I thank you guys for joining me again. I'm your boy, Big Q. I know what I forgot. was talking about I'm trying to wait on the NFL to release the official schedules for the season before we start doing Team Boy TV Live, the off-season divisional breakdowns and stuff, which I know you guys absolutely loved that last season. Me, JB, and Glass, and some other people got together last off season, and we had a bunch of fun doing that stuff. And when we covered every division, every team, every game on the schedule last season, and it was the most fun I've had doing YouTube in a long time. So that will be coming as soon as we get a schedule. Once we get the NFL schedule, I can put a date on this stuff, and we can start shooting that stuff. And again, I can't wait to show you guys TeamBoydTV.com. It is so close to being finished. It is so close, and it is so awesome. The site is fantastic, and I can't wait to show it to you. But I'm trying to contain my excitement for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do that. But so I'm excited. I'm excited for the football season, and I cannot wait for it to get underway. But we still got like 7.5 something weeks until the draft and that kind of stuff. We got a long way to go and everything. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna have for the podcast next week, considering that the free agent period will be over here really, really soon. And I don't know. If some stuff happen, I will have you guys back. I will bring it to you. Again, I want to give a shout out to Louis T, Glass from Get Rid of Sports, my brother JB, and the Cat Chronicles crew. Joey Riolano and Anthony Dunn, those dudes are always they always welcome me to their show, and I love being on that show. And everybody who watches the Black and Blue podcast and has supported it thus far, I want to say thank you, man. And I'm gonna continue to do my best to try to bring y'all the latest in Panther news and stuff. So until next time, I will catch you guys. I'm your boy, Big Q, Team Boy TV. You are listening to the Black and Blue podcast, presented by Team Boy TV.